Eula, the ballerina beauty, the thick thighs archon, the character that you would pull for just because she sneezed on her trailer. Is a cryo claymore wielding on-field physical DPS that can deal a huge amount of burst damage, and the one I want her to stab on me. Anyways, in this video I'll be covering Eula's kit, talents and leveling prioritization, constellations, artifact builds, recommended weapons, recommended team comms, and how to play Eula. I already made guides on various characters, so do check them out if you're interested. Timecodes are in the description, so do skip ahead on which info you would like to look on. Anyways, my name is PP and welcome to a Genshin Impact guide video. Now let's talk about how Eula works. Eula is an on-field DPS that wields a claymore and deals physical damage with her basic attacks and her burst. Her elemental skill, Ice Tide Vortex, deals cryo damage to surrounding enemies. There is ways to utilize her skill, either tapping or holding. After casting the skill, a lot of things to take note. 1. She will gain stacks, which is called Grimheart, and can only stack up to 2 times, and can gain once every 0.3 seconds. 2. Grimheart will then increase Eula's resistance to interruption and defense. It is actually better to hold the skill, as you will consume all stacks. As you consume the stacks, surrounding enemies who got hit with the skill will have their cryo and physical resistance decreased. Hence, you will be dealing more cryo and physical damage. Her elemental burst, Glacial Illumination, will have Eula swinging her claymore and deal AoE cryo damage to surrounding enemies. After that, she will summon something called Lightfall Sword. This sword can deal a massive amount of burst damage by exploding at the end of its duration or after switching to another character. In order to maximize the damage for her burst, you will need to auto attack with Eula after using her burst. This is due to her burst having an ability to gain stacks. If you auto more, you will gain more stacks, and more stacks will deal more damage. Maximum stacks for the burst is 30, but at C0, the most that you can achieve is actually 12 to 14 stacks. A quick brief on how much you will deal at talent level 6 is 109% times the stacks that you can gain plus 533%, which is the base damage. So talent leveling, I would suggest burst, then auto attacks, then elemental skill. Eula's biggest kit would be her burst, since that's where most of her DPS comes from besides her auto. Her elemental skill is just there as a stack gain for her burst. As for Eula's passive, Roiling Rhyme, if she gains 2 stacks after holding the elemental skill, a mini version of the Lightfall Sword will appear, and it will deal 50% of the base damage from her burst. Her other passive, Warlust, that sounds wrong, will let the elemental skill reset its cooldown after she casts her elemental burst. And lastly, Eula can also grant a 10% chance of doubling the product if you use her to craft character talent materials. But let's be honest, we all know what her true talent is. It's all about the ass. Aesthetics. Yeah. Aesthetics. Yeah. Yeah. Constellations. C1. Every time Eula gains a stack, her physical damage is increased by 30% and can achieve a maximum of 60% for 18 seconds. C2 decreases the cooldown of holding the skill and can reach the same amount of cooldown as pressing the skill. C3 increases burst talent by 3 levels. C4, Eula's burst will deal 25% more damage to enemies below 50% HP. C5 increases the elemental skill talent by 3 levels. C6, after using elemental burst, the Lightfall Sword will start with 5 stacks. Elemental skill and elemental burst will also have a 50% chance to gain stacks other than normal attacking. To sum up her cons, every constellation is a DPS increase. Oh yeah, one thing before you continue. Do like the video. It helps a lot. Artifact builds. For pre-AR45 players, 3-star options would be 2-piece Scholar or 2-piece Exile for extra energy recharge, 2-piece Resolution or 2-piece Braveheart for extra attack, and 4-piece of the Braveheart for extra damage against enemies under 50% HP. For endgame players, 2-piece Glad of Shimanawa for extra attack, and a 2-piece Emblem if you have problems on getting her burst up. A 4-piece Emblem does solve her high energy cost issues while also increasing her burst damage, but this is a huge loss to her DPS for her normal attacks and will only buff up her burst. So yeah, not recommended. 4-piece Pale Flame is what most people would recommend since it looks good on Eula, and the 4-piece passive looks perfect for her. But I would only run the 4-piece if you have C2, as the Constellation can fully utilize the passive with almost 100% uptime. One of the most beneficial sets in my opinion, would be a combination of the 2-piece Bloodstain with the 2-piece Pale Flame. This can grant you 50% extra physical damage for the entire duration when Eula's on field. For Sands, attack, for Goblet, physical damage bonus, and for Circlet, crit rate or crit damage depending on what you need. Bonus info: I would always keep Eula at 2k attack and at least 130% energy recharge and above to balance out her stats. Recommended weapons: 5-star options would be Song of Broken Pines, high base attack while providing extra physical damage bonus and increases damage and attack speed from passive. The Unforged, a great choice as it grants extra attack percentage but requires a shield character to fully utilize the passive. Wolf's Gravestone, same as Unforged, gives extra attack alongside a passive that grants bonus attack to your party. And lastly, Skyward Pride. This weapon will be nice on her as the energy recharge stat that it gives is very crucial for burst uptime, as well as a high base attack for easier builds in terms of stats. For 4-star options, Okomaru, a great weapon as Eula can fully utilize the passive with a high energy cost comp that will greatly increase her burst damage. Serpent Spine gives a really good passive for most claymore wielding units, but does cost you to get the battle pass. Lithic Blade for extra attack and crit rate from its passive, but does have a condition on needing to run a full Lie team. For free-to-play options, Snow Tomb's Star Silver gives extra physical damage bonus which suits perfectly for Eula. Prototype Archaic will deal much less damage than the Snow Tomb by a small percentage, but it is an option. Black Cliff Slasher for easier crit builds, but does cost you your Star Glitter. And the Fish, which is actually the best free-to-play option, as it increases burst damage, but only available during the anniversary event. And no, you can't fish to get this one. Get it? Because the catch requires you to fish, and fish claymore. Okay, never mind, ignore me please. Recommended team comps. To maximize Eula's physical damage output, running an Electro character like Fischl or Beidou or Raiden will be nice as it will then help a lot to proc Superconduct. Next is running a cryo battery such as Rosaria or Diona is great as they generate particles for Eula. A popular team that people run nowadays is running Eula alongside Raiden and Diona with another Electro like Fischl, or make the last spot flexible and put in a healer or sub DPS like Bennett or Jean. Diona can run a weapon like the Sacrificial of Avonius and generate a lot of particles for Eula while also providing a shield and healing. Raiden's purpose in the team is an Electro applier for Superconduct and a battery after Eula's burst explodes. So how to play Eula? There's 2 combos you need to remember. An easier combo would be tap elemental skill, elemental burst, then hold elemental skill, then normal attack until the burst explodes. There is a more advanced combo, and here I would like to shout out Ching Mains for providing this info. Link in the description. This combo is highly recommended to maximize Eula's burst damage, and that would be tap elemental skill, then elemental burst, then 4 normal attacks, then hold elemental skill, then normal attack until it explodes. Note that both of these combos would require Eula to have her burst up in order to execute it. My advice: there are some things that you need to keep in mind if you want to pull for Eula. Pros: a really good on-field DPS, has one of the highest scaling bursts in the game, and does not rely on supports. She's fine if you invest a lot on her, as she can carry you throughout the whole game easily. Cons: most of the elite enemies have higher physical resistance, very energy hungry. Even though she can deal DPS by normal attacking, she is very burst reliant. Very selfish, as you will need to be on field almost 100% of the time to deal DPS with her. Overall, I would suggest you to pull for Eula if your aim is to beat most of the overall content in the game. She can be used in the Abyss, but will be less efficient than other popular team comps that can clear the Abyss faster than her. Other than that, just pull, cause she thick as f. Thanks for watching this video. If you find this video helpful in any way, do drop a like, subscribe to see more videos like this, and comment on what other videos you would like to see. And remember, stay F2P.